right. What is up? Getting both monitors set up here for Instagram and Facebook. Got our comments rolling. All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm thrilled to see you. PT on Ice Leadership Thursday. I am Dr. Jeff Moore, currently serving as the CEO of ICE, lead faculty for our lumbar and cervical spine divisions. Great to be with you here on this Thursday AM. I'm saying Thursday, which means that it is Gut Check Thursday. So let's always start there. Gut Check Thursday is actually a repeat. I don't know why we're putting ourselves through this again, but really fun workout. What we've got is every minute. Okay, so we've got 10-7 on the bike. So 10 calories for the gents, 7 calories for the gals. And then in the remaining part of that minute, you've got max power cleans. Okay, 135.95 is prescribed, scale as appropriate, right? And then you're going to, once you hit that minute, right, you're going to have X amount of power cleans. You're going to have a minute of rest. And then you're going to do that all over again. And this workout is going to go on until you've accumulated 75 power cleans, right? So make sure you're tagging us on that. Hashtag Gut Check Thursday. Tag Ice Physio. We love seeing all of you suffering out there, doing something that sucks every day and getting after it. So cool one to scale. Use some dumbbells. Maybe go to hang cleans if you don't want to go with the full movement. Shave off a little bit of time and accumulate some more reps. But find a way that keeps you moving and get out there and get after it. I'll probably try to knock that out maybe tomorrow morning before I head off for a weekend of teaching. So speaking of teaching, upcoming courses, got a number of them. I'll be in North Platte, Nebraska this weekend doing lumbar spine. Justin Dunaway is going to be down in Santa Barbara. I'm over in California with total spine thrust. Next weekend, Zach Morgan's going to be over in Tulsa knocking out cervical spine management. So a bunch of courses rolling online style. You can still jump in. I didn't check before I jumped on here, but I believe the Modern Management of the Older Adult Essential Foundations course had 2 spaces remaining as of last night. I believe you can jump on and still grab 1 or 2 of those if they are available. So a bunch of great stuff going on. So today I want to talk about action. And specifically taking it, right? And that conversation starts with knowing what successful action looks like. Because that is oftentimes the limiting factor to being willing to take that step in the direction that you want to proceed. And so you need to have a good gauge on what successful action or what a successful decision looks like. Like you need criteria for that, right? So that every time you're faced with a moment or an opportunity where you need to act, you've got this really consistent roadmap on what successful action looks like to you, right? Many folks don't have a crisp answer to that. And I think that's what drives a huge amount of indecision, especially as scenarios get more complicated, more variables are on board, outcomes are harder to predict. In those circumstances, you get a lot of paralysis. And so I really want to challenge you this morning to think about, do you have a really crisp idea or navigational buoys or process that you can reflect on, right, to give you excellent, clear feedback on whether or not a given action or decision was successful, right? I'll share mine and then we'll jump into some of the barriers that I see for so many, right? So my kind of guidelines here are 3 parts. Number 1, that people who I really look up to as people and professionals believe that I made the decision for the right reasons. Now, there's some important language in there, right? Because it's important to see that we are divorcing the right or wrongness of your decision from the outcome, right? You don't want to grade decisions on the result of it. You want to grade your decisions on the intent of them. The reason being, there are just too many variables, right, in the universe at large, right, to grade harshly any individual decision upon the result. There's too many things that are out of your control, but you can always grade your decisions on the intent, right, on why you did what you did. And that's what you're looking for feedback from these individuals that are in your close network, the people that you really look to guide your life, to guide your practice, to guide your behaviors. If those people are saying, you know, you made those decisions for the right, you made that decision for the right reasons. Like now that you've talked it through with me, your head was in the right place, right? You made that for the right reasons. That right there is a huge part of grading that action or decision as being successful and being willing to divorce that a bit from ultimately the outcome. Okay, number 2 on the decision reflection scheme is that the people, your avatar, the people that you're really trying to deliver for. Now, you're trying to deliver for as many people as possible, but all of us know that we have a niche, an avatar, a group that's really our wheelhouse that we think that we can provide a tremendous amount of value to, whatever it is that we're leading, right? Whether you have a company, whether you make a product, whatever it is, you've got your core group of folks that you consistently believe that you can deliver value to. When that core group gives you unsolicited feedback, that they received a ton of value from whatever you did, that's a massive part into being able to feed back into your decision-making loop that what you did was good, was correct. So again, you can't please everybody, but when your wheelhouse customer, when the people you're trying to serve the most say, oh, I've been following your company for a long time, been using your products, what have you, boy, that really resonated with me. That was really a positive thing for me. That's massively important. The other side, the third criteria, and this is one that I think isn't thought of enough or appreciated enough, is that people that don't share my values, right, that truly are not trying to go in the same direction, it is a criteria of good decision making that they don't jive with it, right? Like if people don't share your values and yet they agree with your decision or your message, that's a problem. Right? That's a problem because really we should be out of sync and that's fine, right? Everyone's allowed to have different values and different goals, but it should be expected that people who don't share your values, who are not on the same mission, right, do not jive with decisions that you should be ultimately reflecting on were good because they were in line with yours. And so being open to that and really appreciate, really welcoming that is a really big part of being able to evaluate your own decision making. So those three things really play into my reflection on any given decision. Do the people that I really look up to believe that I made the decision for the right reasons, regardless of the outcome? Do they believe I made it for the right reasons? Are the people I'm trying to serve the most, that I believe that I can serve the best, did they get value from it? And did people who do not believe what I believe, who are going a different direction, did it ruffle their feathers a bit, right? Or did it not jive with them? That would be not only okay, but actually kind of welcome and expected if I was really doing something in line with my values and vision. Now, having these buoys, and I really want you to think about what are yours, right? I really want you to reflect on, do you have these criteria that when things are chaotic, that you can say, well, hey, here's what I base my decisions on. And I don't need to make it more complicated than this. Do you have those navigational buoys in place? Because if you do, it's going to give you a lot more confidence to take action in really uncertain times, right? Where there's no chance of a perfect outcome. And we are living in those right now, right? Whether it's COVID, whether it's our ongoing issue with systemic racism, we are in really tough, challenging times and things are really heavy. And we are stuck with imperfect action. There's no perfect action in these situations, right? We are stuck with imperfect action. And we've got to embrace that, right? And that's what this is all about. And there's two things that I want to say that I think really prevent people from taking it, right? And the first one is this obsession with a perfect outcome, which is why I wanted to share with you earlier that if you keep trying to grade your decisions based upon the outcome, you're going to have a lot of paralysis by analysis because when things get crazy, when there's no chance of a perfect outcome because the scenario is simply that challenging, right? When you're stuck with an imperfect outcome, the only action is imperfect. And so if you're really obsessed with the fact that your outcome, if it has any negative sequela, it was a bad decision or it was a no-go, you're forever going to do very little. And the problem with that is that the only consistently wrong decision is doing nothing. Right? Do anything besides nothing. But if you're focused and obsessed with perfect outcome, you're often going to wind up doing nothing. So I really would encourage you to get that out of your criteria and instead use other criteria that are more intent focused, more value focused. Use those things as your navigational buoys and really try to divorce yourself from this idea of perfect outcome because that will forever stymie action. Okay, number two is there's always going to be haters. And this is what we were talking about above, right? Like one of the great surprises in my life, especially in a leadership role, is how incredibly confident some people are that they are right Completely right. Even in very complex, evolving circumstances where they don't really have any particular greater degree of expertise than any of the rest of us who are trying to bumble through this thing, right? But there are people out there who really tend to incredibly feel very strongly that their way is right, even in really complex, multifactorial circumstances, and they are going to shine light on your imperfections. Those people are out there and they're never going away, right? And I really believe that it is the presence of those people that holds so many folks back from taking well-intentioned, imperfect action. And that drives me crazy because there's so many great things folks have to share. And I talk to folks about this. They're like, well, I didn't want to put that out there, man, because I know so-and-so is going to really jump on it. It's like, you got to let that go, right? For a couple of reasons. Number one, unless these people that we're talking about who are going to highlight and spotlight the imperfections of your action, unless they are listed in bullet point number 1 above, right? Being in that small group of folks that really guide your decision making because you value, right, their impression of your values and your direction, unless they're in that group of folks, their approval is not required. Right? Their approval is not required. In fact, they are not really in that criteria. If they are, they're probably more in bullet number 3, right? In those people who don't jive with your values, with your mission. So we're not only not afraid of their feedback, right? But we're expecting it. And so expecting that and being ready for that and being open for that and being aware it's always going to be a constant, I hope allows you to get past that step and take that imperfect action to try and move things forward. Importantly, though, right, while we acknowledge that their approval is not required, if you can, amidst their judgment, appreciate it, they often do have great points. Because while they're usually there and very quick to judge and highlight the negative, if you look at it like, if I had zero emotion to this person's response or feedback, what solid points do they have here? Because almost invariably, I find these individuals who are making every effort to highlight what's wrong with my action or your action often do have good points inside of that judgment. And so if you can divorce yourself from the emotion and sometimes the frustration of like, oh, I wish they would just leave me alone on this, right? You're going to realize that there's some gold there, which really then means that their judgment is invaluable to you. Once you can divorce yourself from kind of that gut jerk emotional response to be frustrated, they're highlighting your imperfections when you're just trying to bumble your best way forward. If you can divorce yourself from that and just say, well, are they onto something here? What do they have? And how can I take that constructive part of that judgment and help me moving forward? You will then begin to seek their feedback, to seek their judgment, because it's actually making you stronger. You've now divorced yourself from the negative emotional component, but you're still leveraging the value of the constructive component. So now not only should them being ready and on alert to highlight your imperfections not stop you from moving forward, you should actually look forward to those comments in your feed. You should look forward to those negatively phrased emails, because what you're going to do is break them down and say, hey, I totally get it. I don't expect everyone to jive with my mission and vision. These people aren't on the same wavelength. In fact, them having negative feedback actually supports it was probably a good move. It was probably a good call. Now, that being said, good, I'm glad it's here. What is there of use? And how can I get better utilizing the feedback they were willing to give? I say these things because I really think that these are the things that hold people up from taking imperfect action, when in fact, they can be the very things that encourage your action even in uncertain, complex circumstances. So that's my challenge to you today. It's twofold. Number one, really think about what are your criteria. Do you have those carved out? What does it look like? So when you reflect on your decision making, you're consistently getting good, clear feedback. Do you have those etched out? Once you've got those etched out, think about the things that hold people back from making decisions. The obsession with that perfect outcome. The people who are going to give them critical feedback, and find ways to turn those into a positive, right? Embrace that it's never going to be perfect. So divorce yourself from the outcome and talk about the intent. Realize there's always going to be haters, but that they have massive value in the feedback once you've divorced yourself from the emotional response of their judgment. Think about those things, and I'm hoping that it makes you much more willing in imperfect, complex, challenging scenarios like we are living in right now to always do something and never do nothing. I hope that has some value for you folks. I was looking forward to chatting about it. Let me know if you have any questions. PTOnIce.com, the website for any of our courses. I'm always happy to chat this stuff through. Would love to see responses to the video on things that guide your decision making that maybe conflict with mine or that are different or that I could grow from. So please feel free to reach out. Everybody, have an awesome Thursday. Knockout gut check. For those who we're going to see on the road, I can't wait to see you out there. For those who we're going to see in the online world, we can't wait to see you there as well. So team, thank you so much. Everybody have an awesome Thursday.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.